Okay. Oh, I thought so. So now, far as, what about the parking lot? Does it have to be refurbished, redone, order the code?
Right now, I wouldn't refurbish anything because no one really comes up to Public Works to park and discuss anything. Pretty much it's just the employees.
So what do you think, in a roundabout figure, of course I'm gonna ask about dollars, in a roundabout figure for us to move there, ballpark?
The biggest thing I see right now is just putting a fence around it to secure it.
It's electricity, how much?
It's going to go out for bid. Once this is approved today, we'll get some hard numbers, but it's unrealistic for us to give you any type of hard number because how the power is going to be brought into the building. I'll give you an example. The building next door, they just went underground, so they had to cut asphalt. That's something that we probably wouldn't do unless Mr. Sessions had a discussion with the owner of the building and they opted to do that, right? That would be a discussion down the road when we get to contracts. But right now, it's just, we're guessing. I think the important part is he has it covered in the contract that it comes off of the lease.
And the thing that a lot of people don't realize, when we vacate the buildings on Duval Street, they'll be back on the tax roll when we sell them. And so that will help the city because they have more, everything will be on the tax roll then instead of things being off the tax roll.
Also in that contract, it says 1 year, it's a year to year. We put all this money, we do over there, and if you, or if Tara decides that, okay, I want this building back, so we are,
Well, that's part of our discussion. It says 1 year right now, but if y'all stipulate you want a longer term, I'm all about it. And I think she is too, but that's why it's here for discussion. If y'all want to make a longer term.
I wouldn't want to go in on a year-to-year contract in a building that you're doing renovations on and you're.
Right, no, I understand that.
So, didn't have no place to go.
The 1 year will not be presumptive, but as a starting point for most leases are year to year. But given those concerns, if the council's pleasure was to request a negotiation of a 3 to 5 year lease, then we would go back to Ms. Mott and negotiate that and make sure she's fine with that. And then what we can add, typically in a standard commercial lease like that, is after the initial longer term, then it would renew year to year unless either side wanted to opt out. That would give the city plenty of time to recoup whatever cost that they had in the refurbishment or the restoration.
I don't think so. If you lease that building for a year, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to understand what you're saying.
I'm sorry as well, but there's one order we can't have.
Okay, but what she's asking, I mean, she's asking the same question. If you pay $10,000 into that building and after a year you don't get a lease.
You can't have one in a public audience.
All right, well, I'm confused. And
But on that lease, is the possibility of that lease going up in
No,
cost?
sir. Not at this point, no, not at all. We discussed this about a year ago, that number, and then when it came back up this time, the same amount was brought up and the owner was fine with that lease.
Now, that's another thing.
And with a longer term lease, then that price would be locked in at the longer term.
We brought this up a year ago. It was brought to our attention and it just like fell off. What happened?
It fell off because there was an interested buyer that backed out, and so they took it off of that. So I've been back to that person myself, asking if they would ever entertain a lease, and then finally, I guess it's been about 2 months ago now, they decided to give us another shot at it.
Okay, I just with saying that, I'm thinking, okay, suppose we do have a year's lease. That runs out, and in the meantime, she has decided she does not want to renew the lease and wants to sell, strictly sell, and she's got a buyer. So what happens to us and what happens to our, where are we gonna go? Where are we gonna go from that
So
building?
that
when we-
if we lengthen the initial term of the lease, she's under the obligation to honor that term.
If we leave from a year?
And again, if the council says we're comfortable with an initial 3-year initial lease at the price negotiated with 1-year renewals thereafter, she can say yay or nay. Council says 4 years, 5 years, we go back and she says yay or nay.
Just a reminder, we do have a motion and a second on the table, so we'll have to rescind those if we want to change the motion.
Modify the motion to add an initial term with potential 1-year renewals thereafter.
And I think once you get those numbers in, we'll determine that factor right there, because the overall cost that the city would be investing in would be better understood to look at what they could recoup based on the way the contract's written, so you wouldn't be front-end loaded with a chance to not recoup it if they didn't do the work.
My recommendation would be 10 years at least.
But if
That's mine.
we don't, he's changing it tonight, we don't get the numbers until after there's anything, what if we say, okay, or what do we need? I'm sorry.
Well, we can't really do anything to the building and really look at anything either. They've been gracious enough to give us keys to go in and take a look at what we might need to do. But without being able to put power to it and turn it on, we really don't know where we're at. But we did get the agreement that what we were improved, they'll be reimbursable through the lease money, with each of the payments.
Just to clarify, it's already in the language of the contract that what we put into it, we being the city, comes out of the
rent.
the leaser's pocket. So, I mean, that part is,
Yeah, I understand that part right there, but it's just an idea of don't, no ballpark figure, how
he's
much.
actually more in favor of a long-term.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's well done.
Yeah, 10 years or something.
And a lease is a negotiation, so this, obviously, y'all have to act in the public, so this is the first opportunity we have to examine the issue and then go back with, because the 1 year was just where I started. And so, if council's pleasure is to modify the motion to accept the lease, but provided it has an initial 10-year term with 1-year renewals thereafter, then we go back and discuss that with the landlord, and they say yay or nay. If they say no, we'll do 6 years, then we bring it back to y'all, and that's how it happens.
And one more question. Expectation of the city trying to take this building over or lease it, do we have a time frame we're looking at? What date, what month? This
Well,
year,
I mean,
next
if-
year?
If it's approved, we'd start moving in tomorrow. I mean, we've already got keys to look at the problems, but, the sooner we start to move, I think the better, and the sooner we move out of other places, we can get them back on the tax roll. So all I was trying to do is help the city have more tax base.
And obviously, before we can move in, we'd have to have consensus of the landlord as to what our requested initial term would be.
Now, how much tax base are we losing?
I don't know at this point what the actual cost of the tax base, but we're not losing anything, we're actually gaining. Because we'd be gaining the building at the water tower, we'd be gaining the building next to the fire station, the green metal building over there next to Heritage Park, which would probably fit in as a bathroom for the Heritage Park or Heritage Square. So we're not losing anything, we'd be gaining.
All right, so I'm trying to remember who made the original motion at this point. Yeah, so if you want to just modify the original motion.
Withdraw your initial motion, withdraw the second, and it's easier to keep the record straight.
I withdraw a motion for resolution number 2026-07.
Who made the second?
I think I did.
All right.
So you'll have to withdraw this one.
I withdraw my second.
All right, now would be the pleasure of the council.
I gave the wrong motion, it was 2026-06. I make a motion to approve resolution 2026-06 with modification of 10-year term lease and contract.
You'll put 1 year renewals thereafter.
Yeah, 1 year renewals are.
All right, motion. At this point, I'll pass the gavel to Mr. Jefferson. And I'll second the motion. If not, questions, concerns? Yes, that's Marshall.
We probably move to second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, it passes. Pass the gavel back to our president.
Mr. President, could I suggest that when they put the fence up, that it be a fence that you can't see through? And it is on US 90, I would hope we would be able to keep that nice and clean there.
Gentleman to you, directly to your left would be the one you'll be addressing that to.
So do we need to make a, change that motion or put that, make it a privacy? Okay.
We can move on, I think.
Okay.
At this point, the item F.
All right, the discussion possible council action RFP 10-2025 Finance Department Policy Procedure Audit. We sent the audit information out to 3 people to verify. Sherry Beckert of Tampa, James Moore of Gainesville, Purvis Grove, Tallahassee, Barry Dunn, Waltham, Massachusetts, and Baker Tilly of Jacksonville. We sent it to 3 different people to score it. The score, which we have here, the score, we actually have 2 for Baker Tilly and 1 for Purvis Gray, and it's here for everybody to verify if they like. I didn't vote on any of these, so not a conflict or anything. So, so the winner, being Baker Tilly, will be for the amount of $20,000 to $25,000 to audit our policies and procedures in the finance department.
All right, will be the pleasure of the council.
Make a motion to approve RFP 10-2025.
Second.
All right, motion, second discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. All right, so RFP 10-2025 is awarded to Baker Tilly of Jacksonville, Florida, in an amount of between $20,000 and $25,000. Next item.
Discussion of possible action of the bid RFP 03-2026 design and build for Heritage Park Gardens.
City Council Resolution number 2026-07, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Library, Florida, accepting a bid from blank related to the design and build of new restroom and concession facilities and a pavilion expansion at Heritage Park Gardens in Library, Florida, providing for the award and execution of the contract for a price not to exceed blank and providing for an effective date. So before we proceed with that resolution, now that we've read it into the record and it is now before the board, we review the tabulations and accept someone to perform the work. I don't have to go out and convert the bid.
I guess I can, if you want to pass it to him, you read it, since you're.
All right, let's see, this is the natural gas.
We don't need the other one. We need the one for the,
Oh.
The bid tabulations for the Heritage Park.
Heritage Park.
I have those.
He needs the
She
bid.
has the bid information.
Heritage Park.
before we can have any action on the resolution, because we have to include the name and then the price not to exceed.
This vote.
If we don't have it, then, maybe we gotta pay.
Yeah, this one just
Should, yeah.
with the gas.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Have it or take it?
There's, what you have, there's 3 different bids here.
So we had 3 different bids. Gamble and Associates had 180,000. Shear Construction, $476,259. And International Construction Management Services, Inc., at $254,232.
I believe that's the one with the natural gas, sir.
No, this is Heritage Park.
Heritage Park.
Like Mr. Gill before he left, filled in, completed 3 resolutions with the 3
I think it-
responsible bids.
I'm not sure if I'm following. 'Cause this says-
The recommendation is for the city council to award the contract to Gamble and Associate Construction would be with a bid not to exceed $180,000.
So what you're reading though is something different than what we have.
Yeah, I've got the,
Go to the paperwork though.
here's the,
And I'm reading exactly what you're reading, but it says RFP 04-2026 natural gas generators for City Hall and Annex. So those are the same numbers, the exact same company.
It does have that.
So
I
I would
would-
just ask that we
It
take
looks
I
like
would
you combined
recommend-
it, yeah.
I recommend then that with our clerk being out, we table it, and if it becomes time sensitive when he gets back, we can add a special meeting right before the CRA.
Okay. Is that going to include another agenda item as well? Because they're,
Yeah, the next one, well, the H would be tabled along with it.
Yeah, G is to award the contract, and an H would be to complete the resolution after the award of the contract.
It's also gonna affect this.
it's just typos, but yeah, we're going to need to table.
It's actually gonna affect I and J too, it looks like.
Yes.
So we need
I think we have the natural gas.
Yeah, but I'm not confident that the numbers are correct because we have that, another document,
Okay.
so.
So we need to table G or HI, excuse me, GHI and J.
I would say G through J, yes, sir.
Mr. President, I would motion that we table those 4 items, G through J. That's G, H, I, and J.
Yes, sir. Got a motion and a second, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. All right, those agenda items are tabled. Coming up on the agenda item K, I know we have a plethora of individuals that are wanting to speak. I don't know.
I kind of need my spiel.
Yeah, so basically this is going to be a quasi-judicial process, so from here forward, Mr. Kennan will take over.
All right, so the following statement will apply to items on the agenda K, L, M, N, and O, so I only have to read it one time. Those will all be handled as a quasi-judicial hearing. When we get to that point, we'll read either the request or the proposed ordinance. We will then open up the proceedings for everyone to testify. They will give in 3 minutes. Everyone that testifies will be placed under oath. Probably the easiest thing when we get to each agenda item, whoever's going to speak on that agenda item will swear everyone in at the same time for time's sake. Just confirm when you come up to speak that you did take the oath. These types of ordinances require the city council to conduct a public hearing in a quasi-judicial capacity. City council decision must be made on the evidence and information that is presented at the public hearing, including the agenda materials, any planning board recommendation, testimony at the hearing, and the deliberations of the city council. The city council must make its decisions based on evidence in the record. In any quasi-judicial proceeding, the city council is not allowed to take into consideration public sentiment or the popularity of a particular development, proposal, or request for a zoning change, and that applies only to L through O. The council will consider competent substantial evidence. The property owner or the applicant, as the case may be, has the burden initially to prove that its application is consistent. Citizens who want to participate can testify as to factual matters and any element of the case that would require specialized training or specific academic degrees. Their testimony will be considered provided their testimony is backed up by established facts, studies, or evidence that is not conjecture but based on a feeling. Florida courts have made it clear that mere generalized statements of opposition are to be disregarded, but fact-based testimony can be considered competent, substantial evidence. Quasi-judicial hearings are not a public popularity contest. Members of the city council cannot consider anything that they encounter outside of the public hearing on the application. As it relates to L, M, N, and O, quasi-judicial decisions made by a planning council are to be based on substantial competent evidence, but to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. The Section 286.0115 Florida statutes provide that any person who is not otherwise prohibited by statute, charter provision, or ordinance may discuss with any commissioner the merits of any matter that the city council may take action. Following procedures which remove the presumption of prejudice shall be followed for ex parte communication. The substance of any ex parte communication of a council member which relates to a quasi-judicial action pending before the council is not presumed prejudicial to the action if the subject of the communication and the identity of the person, group, or entity with whom the communication took place